evening. My name is Samantha Brenner. I am doing a recording for my 6.1a Reflections on Centers Involving Differentiation for my Wilkes online course. As far as my introduction, I'm going to focus on what are centers and how do they support learning. So there are two major categories of differentiation centers, which is learning centers, which is a collection of activities that are going to focus on the process and product of differentiation and demonstrate knowledge in a leveled language format. And then interest centers, which is going to be a catalyst to encourage the discovery of new interests. It's typically student-led exploration of core content, and it creates correlations between learning and life skills. As far as the unit that I am going to implement this in, it's going to be my 9th grade language arts course, and in the unit where we read To Kill a Mockingbird, particularly focusing on the concept of theme and character analysis and growth. So in 9th grade, we read To Kill a Mockingbird, and these are the literary skills that we focus on. Particularly, I like to use the quote from To Kill a Mockingbird by Atticus Finch: "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you could climb into his skin and walk around in it." So using that concept for theme, we would use our different learning and interest centers. So that way we can try and support the concepts of theme and character analysis in the novel To Kill a Mockingbird. So overview of activities. So these are going to be examples of written or verbal expression technologies used in order to support those learning centers. So hotkeys would be one example of forms of technology I would use to support my students. Hotkeys, according to the team at wecapable.com, is a key or combination of keys on the computer keyboard that, when pressed, carries out a predefined task. So it's great for students who have limited typing mobility or struggle visually with a computer screen, looking at it for a long period of time. And it's a useful lifelong skill in a world supported by technology. So this is just a little display of some of the hotkeys that I recommend for students to use in class. I have it linked to our Schoology course, and I recommend to them to have it open on a tab so they can quickly shift between the assignment that we are working on and the hotkeys, so that way they can practice memorizing them. Another example would be graphic organizers that can be both technology and on paper. I use this cookie cutout style graphic organizer with a touch screen, so that way students can organize their ideas. So according to the team at readingrockets.com, visual tools, as far as graphic organizers, are visual tools that can help to break down ideas and projects into smaller parts. Kids can use these tools to brainstorm and plan what they want to write. So graphic organizers come in many forms, from mind maps to diagrams to flowcharts. They can be digital or pen and paper. So depending upon the student's needs, I can do both pen and paper or digital with this format. It's great for students who have limited language communication skills or struggle with the English language in general, like ESL learners. It's also a useful tool that can be used as a lifelong learner, considering that in order to make them independent, they need to be able to create an organizational format that works best for them. So creating personal diagrams and lists for organization is definitely a goal for my 9th grade learners in order to be successful in the future. Spell check and grammar check, according to the team at Reading Rocket, is available on most word processors. Some AT tools for writing take spell check and grammar check to the next level by checking for incorrect words that sound alike or that don't make sense in context. So all of our one-to-one student tools have Grammarly embedded on them. So it's great for students who have limited language communication skills or struggle with English language. So once again, I oftentimes think about my ESL learners or students that simply struggle writing on a 9th grade level. It's a useful lifelong skill in a world supported by technology, once again, because in the format that I would recommend my students to use it, which I'll get into Rationale in a minute, it would look like the pictures that I have posted, where it'll underline and then give feedback as to why some of the choices that they provide are better options. All right, Rationale for written or verbal expression technologies. So as far as hotkeys, according to UDL Guidelines 4.2, many learners need help navigating through their environment, both in terms of physical space and the curriculum. So we need to assist students struggling with fine motor skills and physical disabilities involving computers. It's good for all learners to learn how to use hotkeys, considering that in most career paths, they will be working with technology. And so getting these skills embedded early on in their academic career will help to support them later on in life. As far as graphic organizers, UDL Guidelines 4.2, all learners should be given the opportunity to use tools that might help them meet the goal of future participation in the class. So I think that graphic organizers are a wonderful way to teach students to organize their thought process before writing, and we use it on a regular basis. Assist students struggling with the process of organizing thoughts and creating written communication. Spell and grammar check is important to provide alternative modalities for expression, both to the level that playing field among learners and to allow the learners to appropriately or easily express knowledge, ideas, and concepts in the learning environment. So not all students can write on the expected grade level, so allowing them to use spell and grammar checks with the feedback that it gives assists students struggling with fine written language barriers. All right, prerequisites. So as far as hotkeys, prerequisites for the teacher, you need to create a list of hotkeys available to the students, and you need to remind the students where it is available on a regular basis and remind them as far as which of the hotkeys would be most beneficial to the lesson that they're currently working on. Students need to know what the priority is for the lesson. So as far as use prerequisites for the students, keep list of hotkeys open on a separate tab. Practice makes perfect, so they should be practicing using hotkeys and other quick use technology on a regular basis. As far as graphic organizers, prerequisites for the teacher, organizer visual, it needs to be visually stimulating to the brain, so it needs to meet visually the expectations as far as what they are organizing. Icons that connect directly to the organizer, so for the cookie cutter one, if we are organizing what the characters saw and heard, there's a little eye icon and a little ear icon along with directions that match the icon. Clear directions that chunk the writing process. So once again, if we are doing analysis of a character, the icons need to match the expectations and it needs to be chunked into pieces. Students, as far as prerequisites, work in steps according to the organizer, so that way we are chunking, and refer back to the organizer in future activities, so it's a tool to help them with their writing in the future. Spell and grammar check, prerequisites for the teacher, demonstrate the proper way to use the grammar check and spell check. So it's not just meant to act as a pop-up ad. We should look at what Grammarly has to say as to why you needed a comma in the sentence. Pair the grammar lesson based on common mistakes caught by the grammar checker. So if the student is continually having comma issues, we should do a comma lesson to help support that way. They aren't constantly working with Grammarly to make those corrections. Students, as far as prerequisites, need to review the advice of the grammar checker. So we should take time to look and see what suggestions are made, and then document the most common grammar mistakes in order to practice in the future to make academic progress. So in summary, we want to focus on the implementation of differentiated technologies using ATs such as hotkeys, graphic organizers, and spell/grammar check, so that we can support learners of varying levels of skill to meet further academic success. And through my discussion of rationale and prerequisites and expectations for the use of these tools and technologies, the advantages of using differentiated centers have been made clear. In conversation shared with fellow classmates and coworkers, the tools and techniques suggested for this unit would not only help to support students learning during the unit, but would support students in the life outside of an academic classroom setting. As far as my resources, I used 2 websites for Reading Rocket. I used one from We Capable and then the UDL guidelines. Alrighty, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.